Hello, welcome to today's class. My name is Teacher Steve and I'll be taking you through the science lesson class 7, or you can talk of grade 7. So today we will be looking at the human body, which is the first topic in class 7, and under the human body we'll be looking at the subtopic, the circulatory system. But before we start this, by the end of this class, you should be able to identify parts of the circulatory system. That is one. Number two, you should be able to identify the components of blood and their functions. Remember, let me just take you back. In class 5, you did the human body and you looked at the breathing system and the digestive system. In class 6, you also did the human body and you looked at the male and female reproductive system. In class 7 now, we are going to take it to another level, and today we are going to look at the circulatory system. Number one, you first have to understand what you mean by blood circulation. Blood circulation is simply the movement of blood into your body to and from the heart. Remember, the heart is the pumping organ. It pumps the blood. The blood moves to all parts of your body, and this one is being achieved by the heart. You cannot move, you cannot do anything if your body doesn't have blood. You can't do anything. So for your body to function properly, the blood has to move round and around. So we say blood circulation is simply the movement of blood. It's the movement of blood. This is the movement of blood. This is the movement of blood around the body, around the human body, or you can also talk of mammalian body. You can also talk of mammalian body. So once you get the blood circulation now, we can move to the circulatory system. This one is just a transport system in human body. A circulatory system is the transport system in human body. These are the things which helps the blood to move. This is the transport system in human body. Transport system in human body. For the blood to move in your body, there must be a system, and we are going to look at what are these systems that makes the blood to move. This one takes us to the parts of the circulatory system. Remember, we have three parts of the circulatory system. Parts of the circulatory system. Number one, the first part that we have here, number one, we have the heart. Number one is the heart. The heart is the pumping organ, or you can talk of the pumping machine. This is what pumps the blood to all parts of the body. So for the blood to move in your body, remember, it has to be pumped by the heart. So this is a pumping organ. This is a pumping organ. A pumping organ. It pumps the blood. It pumps the blood. Number two, part of the circulatory system. Number two, we have got the blood. We have blood. This is the fluid that is being pumped. Remember, the heart is not pumping water, it is pumping the blood. So we can say this is what is being pumped. This is what is pumped. This is what is pumped. Or you can also say the transporting fluid, what is being transported from the heart to other parts of the body. It is the blood. Then number three, we have the blood vessels. We have the blood vessels. Blood vessels are the tubes these are the tubes in your body where the blood flows. The blood flows. Remember, you have for the blood to reach your heart, for the blood to reach the various parts of the body, there have to be channels, and these channels are what we call the blood vessels. Those are what we call the blood vessels. Now from there, we are going to look at what the blood is composed of. We're going to look at what the blood is composed of. But before that, there is another part. It's not the part of the circulatory system. It is just a support organ, and that is the lungs. The lungs is not part of the circulatory system. It is just a support organ. It is just a support organ simply because it is in the lungs where oxygen is added into the blood. This is where oxygen is added into the blood. So, in exams, you can be asked, which one of the following is not part of a human circulatory system? And the choices, I am sure we are going to have the heart, the blood, and even the blood vessels and the lungs. So please take note that the lungs is just a support organ, but it is not part of the circulatory system. So that one takes us to the next part, which we're going to look at. We're going to look at the components of blood. What is blood composed of? What is blood composed of? So we are looking at the blood. We are looking at the blood. Components of blood. Components of blood. For blood to move, for blood to achieve all these activities, what does it compose? What does it compose? So, components of blood, these are the parts that make up the blood. Blood is made up of 4 components. Remember, we have 4 main components in the blood, and the first component is the plasma. We have one is the plasma. That is component number 1. What is in the blood is the plasma. Number 2, we have the red blood cells. Number 2, we have the red blood cells. Number 3, we have the white blood cells. White blood cells. Number 4, and finally we have got the platelets. Number 4 is the platelets. Don't confuse these components with the parts of the circulatory system. So we'll start by looking at, we are going to discuss each one of them, and we will start by looking at the plasma as a component of blood. Number 1, let's look at the plasma. Remember, we'll be looking at them together with their functions. So plasma, this is the liquid part of blood. It is the liquid part of blood. It is the largest part actually of the blood. So we cannot say it is the liquid part of blood. That is one. Number 2, it is also, one thing that you should know about it also is that it is pale yellow in color. It is pale yellow. Very important. It is pale yellow in color. Number 3, about the plasma. Number 3, about the plasma. It is 90% water. It is 90% water. Remember, it is 90% water. So these are the 3 things that you should know. Take note of them. I said number 1, it is the liquid part of blood. Number 2, it is pale yellow in color. Number 3, it is 90% water, and it is also the largest part in the blood. Now, let's move to the functions of plasma. How is this plasma? What does it do? We're looking at the functions of plasma. Takes us to the next move in the functions of plasma. Functions. We're going to look at the functions of plasma. Number 1, it transports waste. 1, it transports waste. It transports waste. Your body has a lot of waste. Remember, our bodies have waste. Our bodies are made in a way that they secrete wastes, and this waste, if the body doesn't get rid of them, they may lead into other complications. such as diseases. So now, it is the work of the plasma that transports this waste to their specific areas. Number two, it also transports carbon dioxide. So one of the waste here is the carbon dioxide. Remember, the waste that your body doesn't need, that is being gotten rid of, is the carbon dioxide, which is removed through the lungs. So after the blood is utilized, after the blood in your body has been utilized, you find the blood having much carbon dioxide after being utilized. So now this carbon dioxide will be transported to the lungs as a waste. It will be transported as a waste. So the carbon dioxide must be removed through the lungs so that the blood can be cleaned and oxygen added to it. So one of the waste here that is being transported is the carbon dioxide. Take note of that, not oxygen. It is the carbon dioxide that is being removed as a waste. Number two, function of the plasma, it suspends. Number two, it suspends all other components. It suspends all other components, all other blood components. Now, what does it mean? It means, since plasma is the largest part of the blood, remember, it holds, to suspend is like to hold all these other components, all other three components that we have. So remember we said that these components are the red blood cell, white blood cells, and the platelets. So plasma suspends all those three blood components. Then finally, function number three, we can say it transports hormones from where they are produced to where they are needed. 3, it transports hormones from where they are produced, to where they are needed, Your body produces hormones, and these hormones are produced in one area and being taken to another part of your body where they are being used for specific purposes or reasons. So it is the plasma that transports that part of your body. Next, we move to the component number 2, which is the red blood cells. This one, they contain a pigment, not this, they contain a pigment called or known as hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is simply the red coloring pigment. This is what gives the blood its color. If you cut your finger, or if you get injured, what comes out is the blood, and that blood is red in color. This is what gives the blood its color. Remember, even in leaves, the leaves has got the green coloring matter, which we call chlorophyll, and for that leaf to be green, that substance has to help it, that chlorophyll. So the same to the blood. Hemoglobin gives the blood its color, and that's why the blood in our body is red. So another thing you should know about the red blood cell is that they are disc shaped. They are disc like, almost round. You know what a disc is? Round, almost round. Or in other words, you can talk of biconcave. Instead of disc shaped, you can also talk of biconcave. In bracket, biconcave. Biconcave. This shape helps in transportation of oxygen. Very, very important. Hemoglobin gives the color, but the shape that it has helps or allows the room for transportation of oxygen. Now, another important thing you should note, they are formed in red bone marrow. Another thing, they are formed in red bone marrow. Very, very important. They are formed in red bone marrow. Now, before we move to the functions of the red blood cells, I want us to look at how they look like. There are very many in number compared to white blood cells. That is also very important for you to note. So this is the structure. This is how they look like. Now let's look at the functions of red blood cell. How do they function in blood? How do they help in our body? What do they do in blood? What do they do in blood? What do they do in blood? Functions of red blood cell. Red blood cell. Number one, they transport oxygen throughout the body. Your body needs oxygen. The brain needs oxygen. For you to function properly, you need oxygen. So for the oxygen to reach various parts of your body, it is being transported by the red blood cell. And this one is being achieved by the help of the red pigment, which I said is hemoglobin. So hemoglobin in red blood cells also helps in transportation of oxygen. So you can write they transport oxygen throughout the body with the help of hemoglobin. They transport oxygen. That is function number one. They transport oxygen throughout the body with the help of hemoglobin. With the help of hemoglobin. They transport oxygen throughout the body with the help of hemoglobin. Now, that is function number one. That is function number one of the red blood cell. Actually, that is the main function. It's just to transport oxygen throughout the body with the help of the hemoglobin, which I said is the red pigment. Now, in exams sometimes you're likely to find you can be asked. It's a very tricky question. They can ask you to give the function of the hemoglobin. You can be asked that. And remember, if in the choices you can get two options. One, you can get that combines with oxygen or mixed with oxygen. It can appear in that manner. Combines with oxygen, function of the hemoglobin alone, it combines with oxygen or mixed with oxygen. But if they ask the function of the red blood cell in general, they transport oxygen. Take note of that, please. Make sure that you don't forget that. Now we move to the third component of blood, which is the white blood cells. The third component is the white blood cell. The third component of blood that we are looking at is the white blood cells. This component number 3, white blood cells. What you should know, these ones are also referred to as ascaris. They are referred to as ascari, zinalinda. So these ones are the ones that protects your immune system. They protect your immune system. So they do not have fixed shape. Remember, they do not have shape. So they do not have shape. Number one, they do not have shape. They do not have shape. In short, they are shapeless. They do not have shape. Number two, they are colorless. They do not have color. They are colorless. Number two, they are colorless. They are colorless. Number three, they have nucleus. We are going to see how nucleus looks like. Number three, they have nucleus. They have nucleus. Number three, they have nucleus. Now let's see how it looks like. But for these ones, they are formed in yellow bone marrow. Don't confuse. For the red blood cells, I said they are formed in red bone marrow. For these ones now, they are formed in yellow bone. They are formed in yellow bone marrow. They are formed in yellow bone marrow. So this is how they look like. They have nucleus. That one is the nucleus. So let's look at the functions of white blood cells. Function. How do these white blood cells help in the blood? What do they do in the blood? That is what we are looking at. What do they do in the blood? What do they do in the blood? So functions of white blood cell. Functions of white blood cell. White blood cells. Functions of white blood cells. Number one, they provide immunity. What is immunity? Immunity is the ability of your body to fight disease. So these ones, they provide immunity to the body. They fight diseases causing germs. Remember, if you have if the blood cells in your body, the white blood cells in your body are low, it means that your immunity is low. And if your immunity is low, it means that you are likely to be attacked by a disease. Germs can easily access your body, very easily. So once a disease attacks your body, remember, it weakens your immune system. And if your immune system is weak, this means that diseases can easily get into your body. Let me give an example. If you look at the virus HIV attacks the immunity and it weakens it. And this means that your body has access to any type of disease or any germs. If your immunity is weak, any disease, any germs can access your body easily. So the white blood cells, they fight diseases which are causing germs. Take note of that. So we say they fight diseases causing germs. One is they fight diseases causing germs. They fight diseases causing germs. We move to the next component of blood, component number 4, which is the platelets. Let's look at the platelets. Let's look at the platelets. This one, they're very tiny. They're very tiny particles. They are tiny particles. They are tiny particles. Very small. Very small. They are made in bone marrow. They do not have nucleus. They do not have nucleus. So this is how they look like. Very tiny particles. These ones. These are very tiny. This is how they look like. So when you see this kind of structures like this, just know that these are the platelets. That is how they look like. Very quickly, let's move to the function of platelets. Function of platelets. As a component of blood, how do they help? How do they help in our body? What is their function? That's what I want us to look at right now. Function of platelets. Function of platelets. 1. They help in clotting of blood. They help in blood clotting. What does this mean? Right now, if you cut your finger, what comes out is the blood. And this blood will come out and it will reach a time when the blood will automatically stop. How is this being achieved? This one is by the help of the platelets. They help to stop bleeding. They help in clotting, in blood clotting. That is, in other words, we can say they help to stop bleeding. Now imagine, I want you to imagine, if you don't have platelets, it means that you are likely to bleed throughout. And what happens when you bleed throughout? You're likely to die because you lose a lot of blood in your body. So platelets help in that. They help in that. Another thing you should note is that these platelets, they work hand in hand with two minerals, that is the calcium and the vitamin K. They work hand in hand with calcium and vitamin K, and that's why you find once, suppose you cut your finger, what happens is, or you get injured, what happens is the blood is going to come out, and once the blood is out, a time will come when the bleeding is going to stop. Once the bleeding has stopped, that wound in your hand or the injured part will form something like a web. And that web, what brings that web now is with the help of a mineral that is the calcium and vitamin K. So that's it. We are through with the components of blood. So in exam, you can get a question that asks, which of the following help preventing the entry of germs in the body? Of course, you know that one. It helps the prevention of entry of germs in the body. Or even, which of the following helps in the clotting of blood? That one is the platelets. They can also ask you, which of the following component of blood transports oxygen? Automatically, you know, it is the red blood cell. They can also ask you, which of the following component of blood helps in fighting diseases causing germs? That one, you know, automatically, that one is the white blood cell. Remember, you can also be asked the functions of blood. If you know the functions of the components of blood, then you should be able to tell the functions of blood. It is one and the same thing. So now we are through with the components of blood, and in our next class we are going to look at the blood vessels. So at your own time, I want you to try and answer the following questions. Number one, I want you to try and answer the following questions. Number one, name the parts of the circulatory system. Just note it down. Number one, name the parts of the circulatory system. Number two, identify the components of blood. Number three, draw a structure of a white blood cell. Number four, the red pigment in a blood is called dash. So make sure that you try those few questions during your own time. Go get a book, wherever you can get it, and you try looking for more questions there. Make sure you read your notes so that you don't forget all these things. See you in our next class. Have a nice time.